Hey everybody, welcome back to the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. It is another episode of After the Weigh-Ins. We have another UFC card. I'm happy to be joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Chance Wagers. How are we doing, my friend? Are we ready for another weekend of UFC action?
Dude, absolutely. We got a lot on tap. We got PFL tonight, Bellator, UFC tomorrow. I'm gonna have bets on all three events, so hopefully it's a good weekend.
Hey man, you've been starting off the year on fire, so I'm super happy to have you on the show. There's a few fights to go over. Not the biggest name value, but I think there's a lot of money to be made. Oh, that's for sure. There's a lot of hot takes I know you have, so I'm excited to go through them. Before we do, though, everyone listening, make sure you're following Chance on Twitter because he's covering every single event this weekend. I definitely am not. I'm just going to take a back seat and try to enjoy these PFL fights tonight, but no action on it. So if you want to see, maybe I'll tail Chance a bit, but make sure to check him out in case you do. But I say we don't waste any more time. There's 12 fights. Just me and you are going to fly over these ones real quick, see what we're talking about. Let's just have a good time. First fight of the night, Mario Bautista, 8-2 versus Jay Perrin, 10-4. We got a nice little bantamweight fight to start the night. Mario Bautista has a little bit of UFC experience, and I think he's got some decent potential, but Jay Perrin making his debut. Who are you on to start the night?
To start the night, I am on pass, actually.
Oh, okay.
Mario Bautista, I think, wins this fight at a pretty high clip, to be honest. Perrin's really not that bad, to be real, but Bautista should have him covered everywhere. He should out volume on the feet. I don't know. There's really not much to say here. The line just sucks, so I pretty much just passed off of it immediately. Minus 400, I think, minus 350 range for Bautista is something I'm not trying to lay ever against anyone. So this fight was pretty much an immediate pass. I didn't go too deep into it.
Hey, I don't blame you at all. The line is a bit wide. There's still minus 300 hanging on Bet365, which for me up north is one of my main books. So I do have a little bit of parlay exposure on him just with something we'll talk about later, but just a slight half a unit. I just think that he wins. I don't think he covers his value. That's the problem. Like you said, Perrin's not awful. I mean, he's got a good, well-rounded game, but nothing about Bautista makes me think like he's going to dominate and he's going to win this fight every second of the fight. It's going to be a close one in my opinion for that reason. It's a bit scary. I do think he covers, like you said, the volume's huge here. I think he wins a decision at a pretty high clip. But I'm excited to see what Perrin brings to the table. But I think Bautista is definitely the pick for sure.
Yeah, I think fight goes honestly isn't bad.
Yeah, I don't mind that. It looks like Perrin's pretty tough. Bautista's been knocked out, but to guys with way more power than Perrin, right? So I think that's a pretty good look as well, but not something I'm rushing to bet, right? I think his decision line's juiced as well. So
yeah, exactly.
It's a first fight of the night. It's one that I usually want to target on DraftKings as well, but it's a tough one because nothing really screams value. It's just this should happen, and I hope it does. But I'm not rushing to bet anything. All right, we got Z's in the chat. What's going on, my man? What's up, guys? Good luck tomorrow. Thank you. You too. I was watching your NFT video earlier, and I ended up getting my own as well. Gabriel, guys, good luck tomorrow. Thank you very much. Oh my God, I got a message from our other co-host. I was supposed to have a guy on Combat Sports Central. I think there was a time zone mix-up, so he's not here right now. He'll probably end up joining as soon as he can, but I think there is just a mess up with the time zone. So just me and Chance, we can keep killing it. I think we move on to the next one. It's a pretty simple one. Jonathan Pierce, 11-4. Christian Rodriguez, 7-0. Christian Rodriguez making his UFC debut against Jonathan Pierce. What is he, the biggest favorite on the entire card? Rightfully so. He's the biggest, most expensive guy on DraftKings, and I like him there. I mentioned him a lot in my DraftKings video, but I'll let you kick this one off. Where are you seeing this one happening?
Yeah, dude, JSP's a beast. To put it simply, I think he's pretty good. Christian Rodriguez, though, on the flip side, not that bad either, to be honest. I think this is an awful matchup for him, though. Grappling wise, I think Pierce will pretty much do what he wants. You saw, Cortez push up C-Rod against the fence in Contender Series. And if JSP is able to get him to those positions, he's going to be able to get it to the mat. I think JSP at sub at plus 500 or whatever it's at. I think he's a pretty good look. Once he gets to the mat, dude, JSP, there's people that are good grapplers, but they get kind of content to sit in half guard and just ride out control time. JSP is not one of those guys, dude. He will attack. And if he can't find a sub, he's willing to go back to the feet and try again. I think, let's see. I don't know what fight the unders are, but I think under here's a good look. JSP by subs a good look. Let's see. Under 2.5, around minus 150. I think that's honestly not a bad bet at all. C-Rod will come forward. He has decent hands. And at some point, JSP is going to get caught. Let's be real. He's not like a top 5 guy. At some point, he's going to get caught. Do I think Christian Rodriguez is going to be that guy? No. Mainly because I just think that grappling pass there for JSP, and he's a guy that, game plans pretty well. You don't see him go out there and fight stupid. You can trust him to fight for your money and go out there with a good game plan. So I think he's going to take this to the mat. Should not be too hard for him. He's also way bigger. He's absolutely huge for this weight class. So yeah, once the fight gets to the mat, he should sub him, I think, at some point. So plus 500 on that over at FanDuel, I think is a very good bet.
Awesome. Music to my ears, man. This is one where, yeah, like you said, Pierce is a huge defensive liability. He leaves his hands down low. He gets hit all the time. And I thought Omar Morales might have been the guy to catch him on that. It wasn't. And Christian Rodriguez, I don't think is going to be the guy either. Pierce is really good at his takedowns, 5 the fight before, 6 the fight, his most recent fight. And he's good, like you said, at following a game plan and getting it where he wants to. I definitely think that ground control game is going to be there. He's a bigger guy. He's a stronger guy. Got the cardio to match it up as well. I really like him. He's one of my favorite plays on DraftKings. I mentioned it in my video. And I think he's a guy with just a ton of potential to do very, very well from both the betting line, live up to his inside the distance, like you said. And that sub line is very, very nice as well, because Christian Rodriguez looks to be a pretty tough guy. But if you're going to get worn out, it's more easier for you to give up the back, right? So I like that sub line on FanDuel. Fortunately, don't have that book up north, but it is one that I'm going to look into. So I appreciate that insight there. All right, let's get her going. We have our third co-host, Alex from the Core Combat Sport Central, joining us right now. Let's get him in here. There we go. How's it going, my man?
It's going great, man. How y'all doing?
I'm doing okay. We just covered a couple fights. Sorry about that time zone mix-up. I'm happy you're here to join us. Before we get started, he is from the Combat Sports Central. Make sure to check him out on Twitter. I know you have a website as well. Check him out there. And we covered the Jonathan Pierce fights and the Mario Bautista fights. Any strong takes on those ones before we move on?
So I feel like the Mario Bautista might be a little bit of a toss-up there. I know that the lines are kind of shifting on it, right? But for the John Pierce fight, I think I wrote about that on my column a little bit, right? I've been all over the place, kind of moving along as the line has. There's been a little bit of movement, but nothing too crazy. Yeah, I think looking at both guys is not a clear big physical advantage, right? But Christian Rodriguez is as sharp as they come, right? 8-0, super, big prospect in my eyes, right? What about him was that he's a super sharp striker, right? I love what he's bringing to the table. It's an attractive pick just because, the money you can get back on it. So I really love it. I'm going in heavy on Rodriguez, right? So, and again, I wrote about that on my site. So if you want to check that out on there, right? So.
Perfect. Well, that's one where I like that you're going against the grain here. I don't see many people on him. I know personally, Chance and I do see that grappling upside. Do you think Rodriguez is able to keep it on the feet there and wear him out, or find that hole in the defensive liabilities of Pierce?
I think he's going to find that hole. So, I want to say, oh boy, he's 36 years old or something like that, right? And not just that, but he has, he's done really well in LFA. He's done really well in Cage Fury. So we got plenty of tape on him on his striking, right? So, if you look at his ground game, I think he's averaging something like 3 takedown defenses or something like that. So, I mean, he's not terrible, right? And, at plus 310, that's super attractive to me, right? He's 24 years old. He's coming in on a 9-fight win streak. So I think, it's just going to be a matter of him catching him. He's a sniper. He's super precise with those strikes, right? So if he can avoid the ground game, then, I think that should be his game plan.
Perfect. Well, definitely good value there. I appreciate the insight. Like he said, if you want to know more, check out his column where he posted about that one. But let's move along. Third fight of the night, we got a Canadian guy, Chad Anheliger, a huge favorite, and there's definitely a lot of love for the dog in Jesse Strader at 5-2. Chad Anheliger is 11-5, and like I said, comes into the big price tag. Chance, how are you seeing this fight going?
Yeah, so earlier in the week, I really wanted to play Jesse Strader, to be honest. And I pretty much looked for every possible angle here to try and play him. I ended up not doing it. It's still staring me in the face, though. He's going to come forward and throw pretty hard, which, is good. He does leave his head up there, his chin up there, and Montel Jackson rocking pretty hard. But let's be real, it's Montel Jackson, and he's going to do that to a lot of people. So I don't really hold that against Strader too much. But but that was not a great look. The way he just like left the clinch with his chin pretty high in the air was not a good look. But like I said, at first glance, I wanted to play Strader, mainly because Ann Hellinger just probably shouldn't be minus 270 to probably anyone in the UFC. But with that being said, I mean, he's more well-rounded. He should be better everywhere. But I'm not betting minus 270 on Chad and Hellinger. That's not what I'm doing this weekend.
Fair. I don't blame you at all. It is a very steep price tag, especially for someone making their debut. I know a lot of people are on Strader this week. Alex, are you one of them?
No, not at all. I took a look at his significant strikes absorbed per minute. He's at 7.63 significant strikes per minute. I mean, that is atrocious, right? Any guy that stands there doing this would have less than that, right? So I don't know what he's doing out there, right? But, you look at some other stuff, like 4 of his last 5 coming via KOs. I mean, the guy has power in his punches, right? So, anytime you have 2 of these guys, going at it like that, it could be a little bit of a toss-up. I know the numbers don't reflect that, but, Chad at 35, lots of power, terrible ground game as well, right? So, yeah, I'm not on Jesse at all. No way.
Fair. This is one where I looked at it and I made a mistake. I looked at Twitter before I did my tape, so my mind was clouded with a lot of people on Strader, and I'm not one of them. I think that Chad has a better chance. I know he probably doesn't live up to the price tag, but he's able to wear on people. He's able to gas them out down the stretch as well, and I think he's got a more well-rounded game. The problem I have is it's going to be a slop fest. Like, Jesse Strader pushes the pace. He's going to bring it to him, and that's going to cause some errors on either side. I think the under's the look here, but like I said, it's going to be a messy fight. So I don't know if I want to have money on it because you never know how it's going to go. I think it's a pass fight for me. But other than that, I think the under would be the way to look for me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think if you're looking to put money on that fight, which I'm not, but if you were, then that's what I would do. I'm looking at my notes right now, and what I wrote down for that fight is look for heavy exchanges in the middle of the octagon, right? So that's what I had predicted as well, right? So if I had to, I'd go the under on it for sure.
Fair.
Dude, if I could add one thing here, not to go on about Jesse Strader and Chad and Hellinger forever, but I think if you're looking at the Chad side, I think his big advantage is going to come late in this fight. Like, his gas tank's pretty good. Strader's gas tank's a bit of a question mark. I think if you want to take a poke here, like in Hellinger, round 2 plus 550, round 3 like plus 1,000. I think it like DraftKings it is. I mean, dude, if it gets to round 3, let's be real. Like, it might be 10-8 City. If he doesn't get Strader out of there. So those are, probably good pokes if you like that side.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. It's probably a better look because I was looking at the under, and I think that the under implies an earlier finish from Strader because, like you said, that gas tank is in there. But like I mentioned in my DraftKings video, I think Strader's win equity scores pretty high because I don't see him lasting too late into the fight. So I don't know. Like I said, messy fight, not what I want to talk about for much longer. So I say move it right along. We got 8 more to talk about. So let's get her going. Deanna Belbita, 14-6. Gloria DePaulo, 5-4. And I know our usual co-host in Liam Picks Fights is usually all over this one. I know we talked about it last night, but this is one where I don't know if I want to play this one either. It's tough because, I'm watching that tape and you feel like if you put in so much work, you're going to want to bet them. But I don't want to bet this one either. It was at even sometimes. Now you're getting plus win and Gloria DePaulo. Alex, we'll kick it over to you first. How do you see this fight going down?
So, we always talk about the tail of the tape and stuff like that, right? So I think in this one, we're looking at a little different, right? So how you said, it's going to be a tough fight if you want to just straight up bet money line or anything like that, right? But I'm looking from a different perspective. I was checking out Diana's stuff earlier, right? And I came across her Instagram with 320,000 followers. So I was like, what's going on here, right? And let's just say she's a little bit of eye candy there, right? So I'm definitely going to be tuning in for that fight, But as far as putting money on it, that's kind of difficult, right? So she puts out, twice as many significant strikes per minute as Gloria, right? She has a size advantage. I think it's something like a 3-inch size advantage or 2-inch height advantage, right? So she has a clear path to victory if she's looking for that, right? Sitting on the outside and kind of working Gloria, who's a much slower girl, right, and the smaller of the two. But again, one of those that I might be staying away from a DraftKings perspective, or straight up betting perspective, I might just be staying away. I don't see this being a high scored fight or a very attractive fight to bet on. If I had to take something here, I'd probably take the Diana money line. But again, it's not attractive, so I don't know. We'll see.
Fair. It's a really tough one to bet because each one of them has their respective advantages in certain aspects of the game. Not one I've definitely looked forward to betting to. I wouldn't mind watching it because, like Z's pointing out, too, gorgeous Del Paul and Deanna Bell Beautiful. Yeah, I saw that on the podcast yesterday. I like that one. But Chance, are you more inclined to bet this one than I am?
No. Gloria DePaula sucks.
Okay.
So I definitely lean to the Belbita side. I don't think DePaula's good at all. I don't think she's UFC caliber whatsoever. Yeah, lean Belbita at this price. I would not lay -130 on Deanna Belbita here, though. That is for sure. So I would just pass.
So if you're on Belbita to win, you think it's to be a striking affair with her volume winning a decision?
Yeah, probably so. If I had to guess. But, I mean, like I said, dude. I mean, they both like. Dude, DePaula sucks. I've heard things about her like trying to test her wrestling here, which if she does that, I think Belbita is going to reverse her and just put her in bad spots on the ground.
Fair.
I would favor Belbita's, grappling and wrestling like pretty significantly over DePaula, to be real. But I'm not going to bet her. Like I think she wins, but like I'm not putting my money on her.
Yeah, Z's just liking DePaula because she's on the other side of a UFC strike NFT being knocked out by Cheyenne Bays. But again, I do see it going the distance if it's going to be a DePaula win without volume. I don't think she's going to be head kicked by Belbita here. On the ground, I know you're saying that Belbita might be able to reverse. It's a tough one because I have so many variabilities. I don't really want to like go into it and place money on it because someone thinks it happened. Physicality is huge, and I couldn't really judge who's the more physical one there. So it's gonna be a pass fight for me. In terms of DraftKings plays, I definitely don't want either of them either because I don't see it finishing as much as other. I think there's going to be a lot of fights finishing on this card, and there's a lot of upside to score very, very well. This isn't one I'm really going to be targeting too much, but enjoy the fight from a viewing perspective if you're watching gorgeous DePaula and Deanna Bell Beautiful. All right, next up we have Chaz Skelly, 18-3. Mark Striegel, also 18-3. And this is an interesting one because elephant in the room is that age, is that return, is that retirement fight from Chaz Skelly. I think if you have him in his prime or where he's not retiring and he's not too old, he does have the advantages to win this fight. I do think he's able to do pretty well. There's just too many question marks with that age. So I have no bet yet, but I do lean Chaz Skelly here. Chance, what are your thoughts on this one?
So I'm going to play Skelly. I just haven't decided for how much yet. I think he's a side here pretty much every way you want to look at this fight. Striegel comes out pretty decent in the early going, but at the same time, he was over in one championship fighting, people that have absolutely no grappling whatsoever. Skelly has him covered in the grappling realm here on the mat. So I don't really see like Striegel's path to victory here, to be completely honest. I think Skelly's the side. Skelly by decision, Skelly round 3. If you want to poke that, I think he's got him covered pretty much everywhere, to be real. I don't think Striegel's very good. I definitely don't think he's UFC caliber. I think he's been beating up on people that have gaping holes in their game and are not like true MMA fighters like you're going to see here in the UFC. He's fought nobody of Chaz Skelly's, level, especially on the mat, dude. Skelly's actually kind of tricky grappling wise. He's going to propose some problems to Striegel that he's never seen before. And to pay -200 for that, I think it's a little bit cheap. So I'm on the Skelly side.
Fair. And one more thing before I toss it over to Alex there is that this is one where I was kind of looking at the under too, because you have a guy in his retirement fight who people have thrown down the saying that maybe he doesn't want to be there. Maybe he's a bit too old for this and might get caught in something. And then on the other side, I think when it comes to skill, I think Skelly does have a beat. So the under is not a bad look here too. I know I'm talking about violence a lot to start off the night, but I think that the under is mispriced a bit. I think it's about -138 for the fight doesn't go to decision on 365. I think it is. It's one where it definitely could finish for sure. I can see a sub by Skelly. I could see some ground and pound because Striegel, what he does do is he does like to get it to the mat, which probably doesn't bode well for him. But the more I think about it, the more instead of playing that fight doesn't go, I might just want to play some Skelly inside the distance. I might look into that while Alex is talking. Alex, how do you see this one going?
So a little different than what you guys are putting out, right? So Skelly 36, right? Debuted in the UFC 2014. His last fight was 2019, right? So, I know it's a controversial subject, but some of us believe in ring rust, right? So obviously, there might be a little bit some of that, right? He's got a great ground game. He's constantly looking for submissions, stuff like that, right? However, I think Striegel was looked at a bit rough because he happened to run into Saeed, right? That's a tough guy no matter how you look at it, right? So, his debut, I don't think is a great indicative of who he is as a fighter, right? Just because of who he was debuting against, right? The guy's got an amazing sambo background, right? So, I was just looking at the lines here a second ago. The ability to get as high as plus 185 on Striegel, I think that's super sexy, right? So I'm looking at something like that where it would be Striegel money line, depending on what your book is. It's somewhere around 170 to 185. So that would be something to look at, right? And then, if you look at it from a DFS standpoint, right, that might be one of those fights that's a contrarian pick, right? So to set you apart from guys if you're on a GPP, right? So, that might be one of those fights that sets you apart just because it's not going to be a very high picked guy or high owned guy, right? So again, for GPP, I like that, right?
Yeah, and I guess definitely if you look by that standpoint of the ring rust and not being in there for a while is definitely a really important thing to look at. But I think when it comes to skill for skill, the sub is definitely be live. And I think at plus 200, the sub for Chaskelly is a line I might want to play. Sitting at plus 200, like I mentioned, I just think it's a bit more, happens a bit more often than that does imply, especially with Striegel wanting to get it there. If Striegel wanted to stay and on the feet and just stay at range, obviously it's going to be tougher for Skelly to get it there. But like you said, he's active off his back. He likes to go for submissions. And I think that's a line I'm going to probably end up playing. But with that ring rush in mind, with that layoff, with that retirement fight, definitely don't mind the shot on the dog here. Okay. Let's keep her going. We're flying at a good pace through here. We got a few more fights left. It's definitely a step down from last week's card, but I think there's still gonna be a few bangers, and this is one where I know Chance is gonna want to talk about this one, so I'll pass it to him first. Stephanie Egger, 6-2, Jessica Rose Clark, 11-6. Chance, take her away.
Yeah, Egger's gonna kill her. To be real, Jessica Rose Clark isn't bad. But Egger's just pretty much better, I think, anywhere this fight goes. Like, I don't think Clark's going to be able to stick Egger on the end of her jab. I don't think she's going to be able to have any success wrestling or grappling-wise. If we see this hit the mat, I think we see Egger on top a pretty high percentage of the time. She's going to be a bit bigger in here. I know the stats. If you look at the number, it's going to say she's like only an inch or two bigger and only an inch, of reach. But I think once they get in there, you're going to see Egger look a decent bit bigger than expected. Yeah, I mean, dude, I just think she actually comes forward and throws pretty hard, like for women's MMA, which is, I mean, you're getting a girl that's going to come forward, throw hard, throw in volume. Grappling wrestling, I would favor over Jessica Rose Clark, which I know most people wouldn't say that, but I'll say it. You're getting the bigger girl, and we're not laying minus 200. We're getting plus 150. So like, I don't know. I don't know how she's plus 150. I think if you want to say like JRC at evens would be the side. I mean, I get that. Like, I get that take. But dude, I'm not laying minus anything on Jessica Rose Clark against a warm body right now. She just backs up against the cage too much for my liking. And, I just don't think the fight IQ is all there on the mat. You know what I mean? I've just seen her get in some precarious spots where it's like 50. Oh, she gets into a lot of 50-50 positions on the mat, right? Like, even against Jocelyn Edwards, like there's so many 50-50 positions where like she ends up on top. And against a bigger girl in Egger, I don't think that's going to work. Egger by decision plus 300 is absolutely insane for a fight that should be evens and a fight that I see going the distance a lot of the time. So I hit that for actually like 3 units. I actually threw 3 units on that. I just think that line is just insane. I mean, this fight's going to hit the scorecards unless Egger kills her, literally. So, yeah.
See, this was one, before I pass to you, Alex, I'll just get my P's and Q's in here. This is one where I think Egger has the skills to win this fight. It's just she doesn't have the same MMA experience. Jessica Rose Clark, someone who's smart, who's able to go out there and execute a good game plan. The problem is, last time she went out there, offensive wrestling clinic, she did really, really well against Jocelyn Edwards. She won't be able to do that here. She gets into clinch at all with Egger. Egger has those judo throws, and she's very good at keeping it there. And I know Chance was mentioning her volume as well, but I think that's the biggest path to victory for Egger. She has some experience in judo, and I think the clinch work, the volume there, and like I said, those throws and getting her down is a way to win the fights. I think at range, I'm probably going to give it to Jessica Rose Clark a bit small, a bit closer there. I'll edge her out there. But I think that if Jessica Rose Clark wants to wrestle the same way she did Jocelyn Edwards, it's not going to be a good day for her because we don't know how she is off his back. She's not that good. Offensively, she's shown to be okay, but if she goes for those same type of wrestling attempts that she has against Edwards, not going to end up in the best situations. Like Chance says, 50-50 spots, and I think Egger wins those 50-50s. So I like your conviction on her there. I do like that plus 300 line. Definitely won't have 3 units like you do, but I might take a stab at it there. Alex, how are you seeing this one?
So I think this is going to be one of the ones where I agree with you guys, right? So I was looking at this, at the end of last Saturday's card. I was looking at the lines whenever, or as early as I can, right? And they didn't have very much for this fight in particular. But as it started coming out, I was surprised that Egger's the underdog, right? But right now, I'm kind of looking at the same thing, right? So it's one of those where you look at going to decision or going the distance, and that's attractive, right? Egger's judo, I think it's just the difference maker there, right? I think that has to be her game plan. Grab the other girl, throw her down, right? And then I think what really just tops it off is I think she's a far better athlete all around, right? She's just more explosive. So, and again, that might be something that just comes with judo. I don't know. Judo girls tend to do particularly well. So I think that'd be one of those. But I'm with Egger all the way. I'm also going the distance. So I like that.
Perfect. Well, this is one. If Egger has a dominant decision, we come back, we clip it, we post it. But if it doesn't happen, we don't talk about it again. One thing I got to mention, though, is that Jessica Rose Clark looked like who'd she look like today? Oh, my God, slipped my mind. And she had cosplay today in the scale. I think that was pretty funny, but that's all she got going for her. I'm with Egger here, and I completely agree with you guys. I'm happy we agree. Let's move it right along. Gabriel Benitez, David Onama, and this is the most heated debate of the week on MMA Twitter. Gabriel Benitez 22-9, David Onama 8-1. Okay, certain things to cover first. Number one, Benitez missed weight, did not look great. That definitely comes into play. But the most important thing about this fight is this is a fight really dependent on recency bias. All right, I think Onama is a great athlete. I think he really lived up to his expectations. But I think that if Jones starts him early, he doesn't end up a favorite at all. This is a fight completely predicated on the fact that he impressed a lot of people. Everyone's like, I want to bet him next time without completely looking at who he's facing. I think it's really hard to completely overlook Benitez the way that people are this week. And I think that having him at a plus 130 dog is a bit disrespectful. With that being said, do I have a bet on Benitez? No, I do not, because he didn't look good on the scales. Will I have a bet if the line keeps on getting better? I probably will. I know Chance has a bet on it, so I'll let you go first, Chance. How do you see this one happening?
Yeah, I don't really get why people are on Onama, to be honest. Like if he was a dog, I would understand like a dog shot on a big athletic person like Onama, but I don't understand why people are laying minus 160 with him. I think Benitez should be minus 150, minus 175, and I feel like that's probably a little short. To start, Onama was getting taken down by Mason Jones, who was using pretty simple, techniques to get Onama to the mat. Benitez wrestling and grappling levels above Onama if he chooses to go that route. On the feet, he's going to be faster on the feet. He has much more, a much more variance of strikes he can use. The leg kicks are going to be there. I mean, he's been one of the best leg kickers in the UFC. And I don't know if y'all remember this, but like a few months back, like there was this huge thing in MMA about the calf kick, right? Like it's kind of fallen off a little bit. Like it's still important, but everyone was talking about it, right? Like if you had a fighter going in that had a really good leg kick, like most of MMA Twitter was betting on that guy. So yeah, I don't know what Onama's going to do about that. Not only that, but if you go back and watch tape on him, this is the thing about MMA Twitter though. I don't know how many people are really watching tape on this guy. Cause if you go back and watch tape on him, like he's not good. Like Mason Jones has zero striking defense, right? So we're going to point to that fight and say, oh, Onama hits hard. And well, you didn't finish Mason Jones. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, he hit him in the face a lot. I would hit Mason Jones in the face a lot if he stood in front of me for 3 rounds. You know what I'm saying? Like, we would all hit him in the face a lot because he fights with his hands down and uses his face as a shield. So I don't rate that loss highly at all, like people are doing. I think this is, like you said, recency bias. Getting knocked out by Billy Q is not like that bad. I don't know why people are acting like that's like the worst loss in the world. His striking defense, if we want to talk about chins, Benitez has been knocked out by Billy Q and Sadiq Youssef, who I think we would favor like minus 600 over David Onama. Like, let's be real. And I know that's not how we cap fights, but like, seriously, I mean, they're at least minus 500 against Onama. So I don't think those are bad losses at all. I could go on this fight forever, to be honest. I don't know. He's better everywhere. Onama doesn't have an advantage anywhere. He hits kind of hard, I guess. Like,
Athleticism.
He's big. He's got the African thing going. You know what I mean? Like, that's a good trend in MMA. Like, bet on the Nigerian people. But like, this is just not a good look. I don't understand this line at all. So I'm on Benitez pretty big. Pre-weigh-in. I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here. I'm already ranting, but here we go. Weigh-ins don't matter. Like, I don't know how many times I have to say this week after week. The weigh-in matters absolutely zero. And if you decide that the weigh-ins matter, you then have to attribute a percentage or a number to how much it matters, which is virtually impossible to do in your handicapping. So I personally hit it for a good bit, and I'm waiting for the line to go back up. Hopefully people will see the weigh-ins and bet on Onama for whatever reason, and then I'll go back and I'll bet Benitez again. That's just how I'm playing it. So I'm just kind of waiting on this line to move again, and I'll hit Benitez again. Weigh-ins don't matter. Injuries don't matter. I've been on this train for a while.
Well, that's a bold take for sure. And I do appreciate your stance on this fight. I know it's been a really heated debate on Twitter this week, but I'm with you on Benitez side. I'm not going to agree with you on the weigh-ins because I do attribute a bit to that, but I like your stance on that as well. But let's see what Alex has to say as you get a hello from Jason in the comments.
Hey, so quick shout out to everybody from the DFS Roundtable. Thank you for tuning in, guys. All right, so I appreciate y'all. Special shout out to Jason. Hey, so that being said, let's talk a little bit about Benitez, right? So I agree with you guys as far as not knowing why the line is plus 130, right? So, not just recency bias that you guys mentioned for Onama. I think a lot of it's the hype train, right? So a lot of people are quick on jumping on a prospect that has a debut like how he had it, right? We got another guy on the card, Buckley, right? So as soon as he had that KO as a prospect, everyone's been on him ever since, right? And, we listened a lot to some of his former training partners. It turns out that he's not even that good of a dude, right? But, nonetheless, he has the hype train. So I think much the same for Onama in this one, right? You look at Benitez's record and, his experience and, this isn't his first rodeo taking on a guy like this. So I don't think that the 3-inch height advantage or his reach advantage is going to play much of a difference, right? So two things I like with Benitez, his leg kicks and his takedowns, right? So if his path to victory is going to be taking him down or trying to abuse the legs, I think that'll be his best path to victory, right? So I'm going to have to agree with you guys on this one, right? I like Benitez, and right now, plus 130 is just a little bit of juice on there. So, if I had to, I'd take the money line, right? So we'll go for that. The over-under 2.5 is no good for me, so I do the plus 130. And again, something else that might be a decent GPP play, right? I don't know if I would play this if I was playing, a money lineup for DFS, but if I was doing a GPP lineup, then I might throw Benitez on there as well. I haven't looked at the pricing as of yet, but I bet you
he is 7.8.
How much?
7.8.
Yeah, you see, you can fit him in almost anything you're trying to do. So yeah, I love that. So that would be a play that I would take right there.
Great takes. Great takes.
Yep.
I'm so happy you did not come in here and vouch for Onama.
No, not at all. And there's some guys that I'll jump on the hype train, right? But he's not one of them.
Hey, well, I completely agree. I'm on your side here. Like I say every single week, guys, check out the UFC video after you're done listening to the live stream. I mentioned it in my DFS video. I think Benitez is a good play. I was going to bet him, and if I'm being honest, I did bet him, but I'm on a book on Bet365, which lets you cash out. So as soon as I saw the weigh-ins, I cashed out. I assume some money's going to come in on Onama after he looked that bad. I'm hoping to get plus 140, but again, I might have to go rewatch it. I'm not as convicted as you two are. I still think that like Benitez should win, obviously, but I'm not like ready to lay multiple units on it. I'm just going to sit back and do a little bit more tape, enjoy my Friday night, and see how I wake up tomorrow, how it feels, especially with that line movement. But I appreciate your takes. It was definitely one I was really looking forward to hearing from you guys. And a guy that you just mentioned is up next, Joaquin Buckley, 13-4, Abdul Razak Al Hassan, 11-4. And let's get it out of the way. Joaquin Buckley is the guy for one of the greatest knockouts of all time. I had money on Impa that night, and I'm not even mad because I witnessed history. That was an insane knockout, but it's still looming with him. I don't think he's as good a fighter as people are giving him credit for. I think that if he doesn't get that Hail Mary knockout, he's not maybe even in the UFC anymore. I think that's a big selling point for him. I know it's kind of harsh. I always say it. Everybody who steps in that cage can beat me up. So I respect to all of them. I'm not a UFC fighter. I just try my best to bet on them here. This is one where I think
I actually lined you -300 versus Anama.
Oh, against Anama. Perfect. Oh yeah, I'd get killed. Anyways, the only thing I got on him is a bit of weight. But no, this is one where, aside from Buckley training with Detroit Urban Survival guy, it's one where I'm struggling to see him as the favorite. I think that he wins the minutes, he puts up more volume, but he's very susceptible to being hit. Sorry. And one thing that Razak does is he hits with power, 11 first-round finishes. So live entry on Buckley may be there, but I think I'm going to have some money on Al Hassan come Saturday. Chance, we'll start with you. How do you see this one happening?
I think Buckley's aside pretty clearly. I think he's pretty much better at MMA than Al Hassan is. Razak hits pretty hard, but let's be real. Like I think DeChirico would have absolutely fucking murked him if he didn't catch a head kick to his mouth. You know, Buckley's not that good either. Like I'm gonna be real. Like, you know, sometimes I come out on the side and people will just assume that I'm like really high on someone because of something I say on a pod in a certain matchup. Buckley's not that great. He's just pretty much better at Razak at everything, except for finding random knockouts. So could he get chinned? Yes, absolutely. Round one's going to be a little bit weird. If you're on the Buckley side, you're going to be clinched up pretty good. So I think if you're playing Razak, just playing by KO. Personally, the way I bet it, I took Buckley decision only. I got it at like around evens. I don't know how that's around evens. It should be minus like 300 probably. So, you know, I expect Buckley to win minutes here. I'm sure you guys do too. I don't know how you could see this fight going, you know, with Razak winning minutes. That would be a first for him. Unless he knocks down Buckley 3 times, 1 in each round. I just don't see it happening. I think also, you know, I think Buckley could use some wrestling here, to be honest. Razak actually has decent takedown defense, like at the first level, but once he gets on the mat, I think he kind of doesn't really know what's going on. So I think we could see Buckley kind of use the wrestling, push Razak against the fence. Yeah, I'm on Buckley decision only for a good bit. I think that's a pretty good look.
I think that's an absolutely stellar bet. That's a good one because I think that's the largest path to victory too, is either a late finish or that, because Al Hassan's a first round or bust kind of guy. And for that reason, I am on the inside the distance line. I wouldn't bet his money line here because I think that he doesn't win the minutes enough to vouch for that. I think it's going to keep climbing. It was at plus 220 a few days ago. Now it's at plus 240 on certain books. I think the only way Al Hassan wins here is he nukes him. And the reason I'm on him here is because Buckley has been nuked before. A striking defense a bit questionable, and that chin a bit questionable. So I think this one doesn't go to the scorecards, but if it does, I think Buckley is the side. Alex, how do you see this one happening?
So I have a little bit of a similar view as you guys, but it varies a little bit, right? So I'm looking at his total fight time right now, right? So his debut against Kevin Holland, right, 43 seconds. And then Impa, of course, the famous KO, 2 minutes and 3 seconds. And this following one was another knockout, 18 seconds. Then he had a loss 2 minutes in, and then his last win against Arroyo, again, 226, right? So I think within the distance is fantastic. The guy's either boom or bust, right? And then not just that. So you look at his finish rate altogether for his career, right? He's 13-4. You're looking at 77% finish rate, right? So the within the distance is attractive to me. But what I'm really liking, and again, one of the things I threw in my column, so you know, I hate to keep plugging it in, but I put one of 2 lines that I threw in there, right? So Buckley money line, it's minus 150. I don't like that, you know, it's that low, right? But I mean, you know, it is what it is. I am favoring a little bit riskier, but Buckley by KO or TKO for plus 125, right? So depending on your book, it's around there, 125, 135. And I think we're going to see a finish. I mean, it's indicative of his last fight. All 5 fights within the UFC have either been him finishing somebody or getting finished. So it's either or, right? So that's why I wanted to throw in with what you guys said, that within the distance also seems really attractive to me. I don't know what that line's at, but, you know, I'm sure it's juicy, so I like that. But, yeah, I got Buckley by KO or TKO for a real juicy 125, plus 125.
Fair. And I think the bet chance you have, correct me if I'm wrong, is if fight ends, there's like it gets nullified, right?
Right. Right.
Okay. So I think that's a great idea too. I think the most common occurrence is probably a finish either way. It's a fight that's lined to finish, and I expect it to happen. So Buckley's two or be killed, like you mentioned. Al Hassan is round one or bust. So you'd think that usually if it gets past that, he dies. But it's one where not the strongest conviction either side. I will be playing some Al Hassan just because of that track record, and just it's a math one, right? If you have a guy who gets knocked out versus a guy who knocks people out, it's a tough one to not go against him, especially at plus 240. If it wasn't that high, I wouldn't play it at all. I'm not playing with too much conviction. I just do like the number. All right, let's move right along. We're almost getting to the main card, and at the main event, we have Jamal Hill. I am on that KO too. We'll talk about that in a few. Let's keep people going, though. We are actually in the main card. That was the start of the main card, but now we have Jim Miller, 33-16, Nicholas Mata, 12-3. Jim Miller, most fights in UFC history. What an absolute legend versus Nicholas Mata, a guy who has not fought in the UFC yet. This is the largest gap in UFC fights ever. Because the guy's he's breaking records for the guy making his debut. Anyways, this is one where it's been rebooked rebooked a few times, and it's one that keeps on changing every time it's booked. We now have Mata a much larger favorite than he was before. The only play I have locked in so far, the only play I have tracked and locked in is the Mata and Miller fight does not go to decision. I think that most of the time it does not go to decision. I think the line is way too short for it. Miller is a guy who, if anyone's going to pull off that round one sub, it's going to be him. And he's getting up there in age. It's not like he wasn't available to be nuked the last time. He just was facing a guy in Gonzalez who I don't think was that good. I think that he goes out there and he gives it his all in the first round, but Mata's tough. He's got power in his own right. I think he's able to find a finish if it goes into those later rounds. I don't think it touches the scorecards. I love that play this week. Alex, do you agree with me, or am I a bit crazy?
No, I got to agree with you, right? So I love taking guys on their way out, right? So you look at Jim Miller's 33-16, right? And then you look at the power that Mata has, and I think you're just taken back by that, right? So I think it's one of those where you're looking, and the line has shifted a little bit on that. I think the money's coming in on the within the distance. But that was one of the lines that I was keeping track of just because, like you, I thought it was super attractive, right? So I was looking at the under 2.5 rounds at 137, and then the Mata money line has kept going up slowly. So, but it's just one of those where I don't see a path to victory for Jim Miller, right? So I love the Mata line for DFS. I love it. The under 2.5 rounds, and then if you're looking for a juicier one, the plus 80 on Mata by TKO or KO. So yeah, I have to agree with you. I love the Mata pick here.
Beautiful. And I think Chance are on the same side. Are you on the Mata train here?
Yeah, I kind of took a different approach here, though. I think Jim Miller probably wins round one at a pretty high clip. His striking, honestly, isn't that bad early on. And we all know about his grappling success. Mota can hold his own on the ground, though. Like, defensive grappling wise, he can stay alive, I think, for 5 minutes. I don't expect him to get insta-sub by any means here. He's not an absolute bum on the mat. The way I played it, I think, the later this fight goes, the more it favors Mata. We've seen him kind of cruise to decisions in the past, but I don't think Jim Miller's the type of guy to just sit there and let you cruise to a decision. I think at some point he's going to rush in and get caught, maybe trying to force the grappling late when he's kind of, gassed. He could get caught there. The way I played it, I think this is like the best bet on the card, to be honest with you. I took Mota round 2 KO plus 850. And then I took Mota round 3 KO. Let's see where I got it. I think I got plus 1,400. I think that's crazy. I think that line is absolutely ridiculous. If it hits round 3, Mota's going to win round 3 at a very high clip, in my opinion, unless he's just been getting dominated since round 1. I think he wins round 3 at a very high clip, possible 10-8. He's going to hurt Jim bad at some point. So getting those big plus money bets on there, round 2, round 3, I think are pretty likely. So at some point, Miller's going to get hurt, and I'll have a big plus number on him. So,
hey, playing that with conviction. I love it, man. Keep her coming through with those. I like the play. I think it's be a very exciting fight, and I've done it every single week for the past few weeks. This is my MMA Lock of the Night challenge play. I don't think it goes to the scorecards. I think it's Miller early or Mata late. I'm hoping for some Miller early. Sorry, Chance. Sorry, Alex. I just like Miller as a fighter. I'll be cheering for him. But at least on the bright side, if Miller loses, you guys will make some bank. Good luck to both you guys on that one. I hope it's a banger. Okay, let's keep it rolling. 3 fights left, and we have this is one I really want to talk about because this is a very, very popular topic of conversation this week. Parker Porter, 12-6, Alain Baudot, 8-2. And I'm going to say it before any of you guys do. Porter's sub line is wide. And there we go. I stole it from you guys. Everybody in the world is on it. It is a very popular play. I want to be on it too because I do think it's wide, but I'm worried that it's like too good to be true. Baudot's a fish out of the water on the ground. He's not very good. He gasses out after round 1 and gives up. Porter's a guy who, despite his athletic ability, is able to stay in those fights, decent chin, decent cardio, and he just ends up winning. He just wins. And I like him for it. He's a guy who I love to watch because he brings out those entertaining fights. I think he goes out here and I think he finishes Alain Baudot in that 2nd and 3rd round just because he's able to survive the early onslaught and tire him out. If he wanted to, though, he could take him down in the first 10 seconds and win in the first 30. I am not very high on Baudot's ground game at all. I'm going to let Chan take that one over. Do you agree with me, or is Baudot going to throw up a triangle from the bottom?
Yeah, 10 units on Alain Baudot, money line.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think Porter's gonna roll here. Honestly, I wouldn't want to bet him minus 270 versus one of us. To be honest, but yeah, I mean he has him covered pretty much everywhere. But it was pretty fast in the early going, but falls off super quick. This isn't like a gassing problem. This is like a genuine health concern. I mean, it's like 2.5 minutes, and he's already like visibly slowing. So yeah, it's not an issue of his gas tank. Like there is no gas tank. So yeah, I mean, I got Porter round 2 sub. I got a ridiculous line on that. Let's see. I got round 3 sub. I got Porter buy sub as well. If Porter subs him, I'm gonna buy something absolutely outrageous.
How about you buy me some dinner?
Dude, I will seriously buy both of you dinner if he hits this sub.
So we'll record it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean Porter sub 3 is like plus 4,500. It's like in the plus 4,000 range, which is insane. If it gets to round 3, like betting like this is not typically very smart, but let's just be real. If it gets to round 3, Baudot's like a corpse. Okay, so then Parker Porter just gets to take his pick. Does he want to sub him or does he want to knock him out? I'm willing to flip the fucking coin here and just hope he goes to sub him for like a new car, like literally. Like it's that simple. Yeah. So I got a couple motorcycles on Parker Porter to win by sub, to win a couple cars, like 8 of them. So yeah, I mean, dude, I don't know how Porter. I mean, honestly, I say I don't want to lay minus 270 with Parker Porter. It's just not a good look. And if it loses, you don't want to be like, fuck, I lost betting Parker Porter minus 270. Like, you just look like an idiot. But, like, let's be real. I mean, he has Baudot covered everywhere. Baudot's not very good. So, grappling path, huge advantage there. So, yeah, I'm on Porter sub round 3 and just Porter to sub him.
If there's anyone that's going to be choked out by anything, by Jolon Volante just hugging him from the bottom, it's going to be Alain Baudot. Alex, how do you see this one going down?
So kind of similar to you guys. However, I'm a little wary, right? I've had a bad taste in my mouth the last time I thought a guy was going to get choked out for sure, right? It's flashbacks of Rodolfo Vieira versus Fluffy. Do you guys remember that one? I think he was like
yes,
minus
400 money line.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, right? And he goes out there, and everybody in the world thought he was going to choke out Fluffy, and surprise, right? So, I'm a little wary of it, but how do you not take a plus 650 on Porter winning by submission? I mean, that's tough right there, So I'm jumping in on that one as well at plus 650. It's a clear path to victory. I think everybody sees that line and knows what's going on. I don't know what the hell Vegas is going on. Maybe they got that guy from the Houston card that was judging terribly running these lines now, right? But I'm with you guys on that one. Plus 650, you can't negate that. I love it. So we're gonna jump on that for now. But I am still a little wary. Flashbacks of that Rodolfo Vieira fight, and hopefully he doesn't disappoint us like that guy, right? Former ADCC champ. What happened?
The big difference is Fluffy has a ground game. He's good on the ground. Baudot is not. Right. Yeah. So hopefully we get our dinner in. We get some cars. We get some Lambos for Chance. Speaking of, check out the Lambo show. I'll be in the comment section for that later on Narco Cops channel. But yeah, this is one where you guys are lucky. Up north, I have very limited access to books, and I do not have plus 650. The best line I can find is plus 500 on mine, but I'll keep looking. But I wish I had that. No, I know it was at plus 800 earlier in the week on FanDuel as well. Don't have access to that or would have hit it, but we'll play it for some change. I think it's a fun bet. You know what? If this happens, the MMA community goes crazy. The Twitter community makes some money. Chance buys us dinner. It's great. I love it. All right. We got 2 fights left, just like that. Kyle Dawkins 10-2, Jamie Pickett 13-6. This is our co-main event at a catchweight. Kyle Dawkins is a not so much friend of the show, and Jamie Pickett is a guy everyone loves to fade. So this is one where I want to hear your guys' thoughts first. I have my own thoughts on it, but I definitely think we're all on the same side here. Alex, we'll start with you. How do you see this one going down?
So Pickett coming in on a 2-fight win streak. I think everybody looks at his last victory over Starpoli. He's won 3 of his last 4, and each one of those having gone the distance, right? I don't know. I think if you look at a stand-up and you try to balance everything out, I don't think it's as clear as everyone's making it out to be, right? So I've been reading everywhere that it's your classic grappler versus striker fight, but I'm not so sure, right? I think if anything, you look at Kyle Dawkins's, what is it, 4 or 5 victories by DRC choke, and you're just like, okay, well, I'll take that into consideration. But I think it's going to be a little bit messier, a little bit dirtier than we're making it out to be, right? So I was looking at some of the lines on that fight, right? So Kyle Dawkins at minus 300, not a sexy pick. However, if you look at the Dawkins by submission, plus 300, I like that, right? So again, I don't think it's going to be as clear as I'm making it out to be. I don't think it's going to be a one-sided fight or anything like that. But I do think Dawkins gets a submission. So I like the plus 300 there. And I think that's one of those fights that might also be super sexy for DraftKings. I think you build around Dawkins and you kind of go from there.
I completely agree. Chance, you agreeing that it's also going to be Dawkins by headbutt?
I actually think it's more likely than by sub, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, kind of hot take. I think Dawkins by KO is probably the side, to be real. I get the sub angle, just due to the fact that Dawkins will hunt for it. So I get the angle there. The line just kind of sucks in my opinion. Plus, you can get plus 300, plus 250, which I guess isn't too bad. But I would rather have that plus 700, plus 500 on Dawkins by KO. I think he could put Pickett in some bad spots on the mat if he wants to. Also on the feet, he has a clear boxing advantage. He's significantly better on the feet than Pickett is. It's a weird fight, though. I've been on Pickett the past couple times out, and I've had success, but he's just a weird fighter that he's fucking sucks, but doesn't suck enough to just die immediately. You know what I mean? There's guys
unless to Jordan, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's guys like Onama are just gonna go out there and die, right? But Pickett will stick around for whatever reason. He'll get clipped and then just stumble back and just find a way. He's the luckiest person ever when it comes to just bouncing out of finishes somehow. So like I said, I don't know if I would hit that sub line, but I totally get the angle there. He will hunt for it. Dawkins has a pretty nasty front choke series, where people maybe try to wrestle him and stuff like that, and he hits that Darce. It's pretty nasty. I don't think Pickett's going to do that, though. I think a head and arm is probably more likely. I think if Dawkins tries to wrestle Pickett, something like that, maybe a rear naked makes more sense to me, which we've seen Pickett get out of just somehow. He just fucking muscles his way out of horrible positions. But yeah, I think Dawkins has a massive boxing advantage, to be real. So I think plus 700 on someone with a clear edge in the striking is pretty good. But like I said, he's just dodged getting finished so many times. It's bizarre. But Starpoli sucks. So I don't know.
I like what Gabriel's saying too, that Dawkins had the distance. I'm a bit more conservative in the fact that I want to cover my bases and get that, because I do think the sub is live, but I do also think that KO TKO is live from top position. And like you said, that boxing is definitely an advantage for Dawkins as well.
I'm gonna be honest. I think the money line's short. I know a lot of people want to say that. A lot of people just like playing dogs and they don't want to take the juice. Let's be real, dude. Dawkins should probably be minus 400. I mean, he's way better. I mean, he really is way better. I don't see dude, if y'all have an angle for where Pickett is better than Dawkins, y'all can go for it. But I don't see where he's better in this fight whatsoever. in any way, shape, or form. So that's it.
Yeah,
The
I don't
only
think
reason
it's better anywhere either, right? And I think the biggest thing here is opportunity, right? So again, if you look at this, 3 of his last 4 fights for Pickett, they've all gone the distance, right? So that's just opportunity for Dawkins, right? So I think a lot of it's going to come down to his coaching, right? Are they telling him, hey, put your hands on him, grab him, take him down, or is he going to try to stand with him? So that's ultimately what it's going to come down to. But yeah, all those picks are super sexy, right? So grab some juice while you can, right?
Yeah, I like it. And I think the only reason I'm being a bit tentative about it is because the first ever plays and fades shows I've ever done on this channel, the first live stream I did it with a good buddy of mine in Phoenix MMA, and we were all in on Dawkins over Phil Hayes. We're like, Phil Hayes is going to gas, Dawkins is going to win the later rounds, and it's just hurt me forever. It's haunted me in my sleep of Dawkins gassing out. So I do think he wins here. Honestly, I do have a bet ready to go. Haven't tracked it yet, haven't announced it, but I do have a parlay with Dawkins. I do think he's a parlayable piece, which is always something I'm scary to say, but I do think he wins this one at a pretty high clip. All right, MMA has it covered. Downgrade, I do like it there. And that's how he's been winning his fight, and Pickett's winning in those weird clinch spots. That fight against Starapoli, really weird one. I do see where you're coming from, Mbe. The problem I have with that one is I think that Dawkins is too smart, and I think his physicality is up to par to be able to move out of those, to go for a takedown instead, and just have that dirty boxing. I think that the boxing and the ground game of Dawkins wins it over here. Okay, and with that, guys, the main event. And wasn't that just the best co-main event of the year? Wow. We got some really weak co-mains, but that's okay. We also had some great co-mains. But we got one left, and that is the main event. Johnny Walker, 18-6. Jamal Hill, 9-1. Now, I did really want to see my Rafael versus Rafael fight, but this is one that I'm kind of looking forward to as well. Jamal Hill, 9-1. Johnny Walker, 18-6. Before I pass it over to you guys, everyone just has that sour taste in their mouth of the last time Johnny Walker hit the octagon. Everyone holding those fight doesn't go to decision lines or those Walker KO lines. And what does he do? He stays at range for 5 rounds for 25 minutes, puts a bunch of people to sleep. And the big question I have for you before I kick it over to you first, Chance, is are we going to see another 25 minutes, or do you think that he comes out there and puts on a better show?
I don't know, honestly. I have no idea. What the fuck was that performance? Like, that's just so bizarre. His entire thing, he's not like a very good technical guy. So his entire shtick, his whole like X factor of what makes him good is just like the wild and the unknown. Like, that's who he is as a fighter.
Being crazy.
Exactly. So you just completely take that away. In the 3rd round there, his corner's telling him to keep feigning. I mean, in the 5th round, not the 3rd. The 3rd actually would maybe make some sort of sense. The 5th round, when he's lost every round to Thiago Santos, basically, he goes into the 5th round and his corner's telling him to keep feinting, which is absolutely insane. To this fight, though, Jamal Hill is significantly better than him everywhere. I don't see a version of this fight where Johnny Walker covers plus 200, to be completely honest. If he decides to be wild and wants to come forward, Hill's the sharper striker. He's much faster on the feet, much more technical. He throws straight punches, whereas Walker's a bit more looping, bunch of big movements. If you're gonna throw those big movements against a guy like Hill, you're gonna die. Let's just be real. You're not coming out of that cage conscious. Because everything with Hill straight down the pipe. He doesn't fuck around. He's not spinning. He's not doing stuff like that. Now let's say on the mat, right? Like, I don't think this fight hits the mat, but I also didn't think Ngannou was a D1 wrestler. But if it goes there, you got to favor Hill. I mean, Hill's not bad on the mat. We haven't really seen Walker there a whole lot. So yeah, I mean, I favor him anywhere this fight goes. If Walker decides to back against the cage like he did in his last fight, he's gonna lose, obviously. Like, I don't I know I set that up, he's just gonna lose. Like, I don't see any way this fight goes where he covers plus 200. Anywhere he goes, he's fucked. Like, let's just be real. I mean, people don't like laying minus 250, but if you're gonna do it, like, also, where's Walker's chin? Does anyone know?
We don't know.
Exactly.
It's up for grabs, and I think that's a big thing why Frank is saying if he's scared again. I don't know if he was definitely scared, but I think that comes into play when you're training for something and you worried about being clipped. Maybe that's why he's being so tentative. I don't know. The problem I have, before I let you keep going, sorry about cutting you off, is just I think that it bodes well for him. That crazy style is what's winning him fights, and if he's not sticking to it, I don't want to have any money on Walker because he's not going to win minutes at range against Hill.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing about this fight. I think either way, right? Like if Walker comes forward and is that wild guy again that we like to see fight, he's gonna get clipped. He's gonna die. Like I said, if he goes in with those big movements, he's not making it out alive. If he backs up against the cage like he did in his last fight, he's gonna lose again. I think this is honestly probably gonna end pretty fast. I think Jamal Hill money line's like pretty short, to be honest.
Fair. Alex, how do you see this one going down?
All right, so several things on this one, right? I love this fight, and I know the co-main event that we just talked about, right? Of course, the Rafael. We would have loved to have had that. I know they moved it down, but I mean, it is what it is. But also, hey, real quick, let me take a second. Shout out to All Ranked MMA, Alex. I see you, right? And I think Hill's going to catch him too, so I like that. But let me just mention something. So first and foremost, what's the over/under on will Johnny Walker grind on the cut man as he's getting ready to get in the ring, right? So we love that. Let's see that again, right? He's going to grind on the cut man. That's going to be amazing. So, okay, so let's talk a little bit about Jamal Hill, right? So his last 4 fights, he's got 1 no contest. That was in 2020, right? Other than that, every single win he's had, which 3 of them have been via KO, right? 2 of them early in the first. So I think you look at that power and you say, if Walker's going to come in and try to be a madman, try to be crazy, and try to play to his game plan that has yielded some success in the past or made him a little rougher on the edges, whichever your take might be, I think that's a danger zone. I don't think that's an attractive game plan for him to try to take against a guy like Hill. And also, looking back on Walker's defeats, right? So he gets to a certain level of opponent, and then it's downhill from there, right? So I think he's one of those mid-tier guys, kind of like a gatekeeper kind of guy or something like that, right? So at this point, the only thing that's attractive to me on that one has to be Jamal Hill. So I'm not liking anything that's outside of that. So I don't see a path to victory for Walker at all. So
fair. And I think that the one thing has to be, if you are betting Walker, is you're counting on him to be the old version of himself, blitzing it and catching Hill with something. We don't know how Hill's chin is necessarily because he's never fought someone with really insane power that's going to scare him. I mean, you look at OSP, sure, he's got decent power, not to the same extent of Walker when he's blitzing in. You look at other guys he's facing. Crute didn't have the chance to get any striking off. Paul Craig is a grappler, broke his arm. Good for him. It's one where if you're betting on Walker, you want a certain version of him because the version of him that sits at range will lose this fight. Hill has great hands, great counter box, and I think that's probably the most likely path to victory here. Is Walker's eventually going to get tired of staying at range and going to put his training with Michel Pereira to use and blitz in? And when that happens, we all know, just ask Jimmy Crute, how good Hill's counter striking is. I think that it's going to be an earlier counter strike for a Hill that wins him the fight. I think he wins it here. I think he wins by finish. I think that's true. And they saying Walker by decision, that is a bold take. That would hurt my feelings. That would put them both on the. I would put Walker on the no bet list because we can't trust it. But I don't know. It's one where I think that Hill's just too sharp. I think that he has the better hands. I think he has the better brains, in my opinion, for being honest. And unless Walker's going to come out there with that game plan that he's going to be so unpredictable that he wins the minutes, that's the only way I can bet on Walker. If he's not going to be that kind of guy, I don't want any reason to be a part of him. I think the better striker here is Hill, and I think he wins this fight in general. And with that, an hour and 3 minutes in, we are done the breakdown. One last thing to mention about Jamal Hill is he has a win over Popek, a guy fighting in PFL tonight, PFL Contenders League or something. And if you guys want to know any bets about that, myself, I got none, but Chance Wager does. That is it for the Plays and Fades YouTube channel breakdown. Before I let you guys go, I'm going to make sure you guys plug all your social, let everyone know where they can find you. After they do that, you guys can go check out the DFS video on my channel. But first things first, brand new guest to the show. Alex, I'm super happy to have you on there. I apologize for the confusion in the time zone delay, but we'll get you good next time. I would love to have you again. Appreciate the analysis. Let everybody know where they can find you.
All right, guys. So super easy, right? Thank you all for having me again. It's been a pleasure. It's been super fun. Hopefully we can do a lot more of these. But you guys can find me under the same username across all socials, and that's the Combat Sports Central. I think Twitter is the only one that had me shorten it. Other than that, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, right? We're posting shorts while they're trying to grow. So hit us up at the Combat Sports Central, and then on Twitter, it's Combat Sports CNT or CNL, no, something like that, right? But you can
CNT, both are in bio or in description. Sorry.
There we go. So thank you guys for that. Hit me a follow. If you guys have any questions or anything, hit me in the DMs. I'm always active. So again, thanks for having us. I appreciate it.
No problem. And with that, we go over to Chance. Let them know where they can find you. And man, you've been on super hot to start the year, so let's hope you keep it rolling. I appreciate the free NCAA picks as well,
dude. Absolutely. Yeah, to start, I actually think Popik's a good bet tonight in the PFL Challenger series. I think it's a pretty good bet. I think overs in that fight are a good bet. Yeah, on Twitter at Chance Wagers. I do this for real. I'm not just some guy on Twitter. I do other sports as well as MMA. So follow me over there. Also, dude, I think we got to start something new here. I think we got to give out a best bet at the end of this pod. I think that's a great move. All right,
let's do it.
Give some people a reason to stay and listen to us fucking talk about stupid shit. Best bet for me, I want to go Stephanie Egger plus 155. I think that's by far, in a way, the best bet on this card. Yeah, we broke it down earlier. That's what I'm going to roll with. Alex, what you got?
So I like to give people an incentive to watch the prelims, right? We need to watch the future of the UFC, not just the main events, right? So that's the way we're going to grow the sport. So I'm going to go with C-Rod Rodriguez, right? So I like him plus 310. So I'm liking it.
That's a bold one. I wish you the best of luck. I'm on the other side there, if I'm going to be completely honest. But wishing you the best there, and I appreciate you guys both having you on. Let's answer a few things first. Do you think size will be a factor in the main event? I think that Walker's style doesn't really use his size to his advantage, really. He's blitzing in. He's not using his length. Yeah, he doesn't have a jab to use that length, so I don't think so. Frank's saying that size always matters, and sure, Frank, you keep saying it. All right, thank you very much for listening, guys. All rank, thank you for the support in the comments, and that's going to do it for us. Now you guys can check out, I posted my DFS plays. If you guys want to know exactly who I'm playing in DFS, you can check that out on the YouTube video on this channel. As for my own best bet, I'm rolling with the Mata and Miller fight does not go to decision. It's getting juiced a bit more, so I'd get in while you can. I snagged it at minus 110. I think it's minus 140 right now, minus 138. Love that play. I think it finishes a lot of the time. Anything else? I think we're all good there. Appreciate both you beauties for coming on to the show. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel and following these guys on Twitter as well. If you have any more questions for me throughout the week, you can find me on Twitter at GamblesGordo. My DMs are always open for DFS and betting picks. But I hope you guys both make some money on the card tomorrow. Chance, good best of luck in your PFL and Bellator bets as well. And Alex, will see you again soon. Thank you very much for joining me, and let's make some money.